Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Ask Me Anything with OPP Uniform Recruitment. My name's Sergeant Vinny Hick, and we are broadcasting live today from our general headquarters in Aurelia. This building actually sits on traditional lands of the Chippewas of Rama, and this whole area is really steeped in a beautiful historic culture. If you've never been, come down to Aurelia. We have a great museum. Stop in at general headquarters. I think a lot of people will be excited today because we're talking about OPC. In a lot of the presentations that I do, I get questions after. I have a lot of people that write in and they want to know, what's the Ontario Police College like? What is the culture? What's life look like there? And so I'm really excited about today's edition. We have two amazing guests. I want to welcome a very, very new recruit. We have Constable Leanne Forker from the Aurelia Detachment. And on your screen, you'll see just above, we have Staff Sergeant Jeffrey Dupe, who is the OPP liaison at OPC for the OPP new recruits. Welcome to both of you. I know there's a lot of people that are going to be so interested in hearing what you have to say. Now, for our viewers, we're going to have some of you will be putting questions in the chat. We will do our best to get to them. If we don't get to them and you have a question that's pending, feel free to email us at Uniform Recruitment. We will answer your emails. We do answer a lot of questions that way. But just to get the ball rolling, I'm going to start with you. May I call you Leanne?
Yes, yeah.
So, Leanne, how long have you been with the OPP? Where you posted? What did you do before?
Yeah, so I've been with the OPP now for 1 year. I've been on the road for 6 months, obviously out of the Aurelia detachment. And before that, I was running my own fitness business and playing semi-pro soccer. So I had no.
Wow, that is impressive. So we've got a semi-pro with us who's now no. So message there that I picked up on: if you're running from the cops, don't run from you because you'll probably outrun them. Uh,
Yes.
and also we have Staff Sergeant Jeffrey Dupe. Staff, I want to know, can you tell us? I know you posted at OPC, but where your career started, how you ended up where you are, how long you've been on the job. Give us a bit about you.
Yeah, thank you very much. 25 years in policing at this point. I started in Perth County General Duties Detachment and spent most of my career on the front line in general duty detachments. Started to go into the training branch midway through my career and then again into the promotional ranks, which led me here to OPC as an instructor back in 2017, 2018. Really enjoyed the training aspect of it. Went back to the road for a little bit and then returned back to OPC right now, which led me into this current position as the OPC liaison.
Sounds like a perfect combination. Lots of frontline experience, lots of training experience, exactly what we need to train new recruits at OPC. So I'm sure that thank you for being on the team. Thank you for being there. It does take a huge team to create OPP officers to have to transition a soccer player, a hockey mom, a welder, and a hockey player to become a police officer. And it all happens at OPC. So speaking about everything OPC, the recruits arrive there, and now I really want to get them a great image. So Leanne, I'm going to ask you first. You arrive, you park your car at OPC, or you get off the bus, however you got there. Tell me what day one looks like. You're walking in with a suitcase, I imagine.
Yeah, so day one, you're directed to park and then you're directed where to go. You walk in, you pick up your pack, get your photo taken, you get your folder, and then you get sent to where your room is and where your parking lot is. And then you start unloading your stuff and taking it into your dorm, and you start meeting everybody that you're going to be sharing a dorm with. So it's pretty surreal, but great experience. It was a great feeling to be part of something and about to start a 3 month journey with all these people that were sitting in your dorm with you. So
Absolutely. I remember my first day when I went to my pod and, you know, you get organized and it's a whole experience, but it can be a little intimidating for people, and that's why we want to talk about it. Now, from your end, staff, what's it look like when you've got your team at OPC and you're like, all right, here's another batch of brand new recruits? What's the outlook for you guys?
Well, for us, yeah, in most cases, I've already met most of the recruits up at the Provincial Police Academy prior to them arriving. But yes, we're here to meet them on day one when they arrive to OPC, and usually day one for OPP recruits. We start off day one here usually at 5 a.m. with a team building session, which kind of helps to get the whole team motivated and all together before they even get to the class. So we sort of set the bar right off the start and let them know that we're here to support them, and we are here to ensure that they become successful throughout their journey at OPC.
That is great to hear. And I always tell people our instructors are second to none. Our training is second to none. We're not new at this, and we are rather pretty good at it. And it's great to hear you echo that and how your team is looking for everybody to succeed. The whole goal, I always tell people at presentations, our whole goal is to see you succeed. We hope nobody does not succeed. You know, we've come this far in the journey with you. Now, Leanne, when you mentioned when you get to your pod, you're meeting other people. Give me a little picture. What's a pod look like? How many people are in there? Is this like an apartment? Is this like a hotel?
Yeah, it looks like an apartment. Like you go in and you have like your own little sitting area with a TV and stuff. And you have a bathroom. So there's 5 bedrooms downstairs, and then there's 5 bedrooms upstairs. So there's 10 of you in total. And what's great about it is it's not just OPP. You're actually there with. I was there with a Hamilton police officer, South Simcoe, some First Nations, Toronto. So you got to really mingle with different police services as well, and that's who you spend your next 3 months with. And they're usually the 10 that you're in with are usually in your class as well, so you're always with them, you're always working together. So
You said, I'm glad you bring up that point. So OPP officers, on top of the police college, we have our own academy here in Aurelia. And at the Provincial Police Academy, OPP officers go there first to get all their gear, some training, and then they report to the Ontario Police College. So when you got there, you probably had already like some of your uniforms, and you can like the ball is rolling. And I remember, I'm asking you to describe it. I remember it very vividly, what it looks like. But I remember in the pod, it's a really neat place because that's where you get to know everybody. It's where you're going to shine some boots together and find out about everybody else, and it becomes like a little family in that pod. And like you say, most pod mates are also in the same homeroom class, which makes that really good. Now, one of the things that we say is we will teach you what you need to know. Sometimes people say, you know, do I need to have police foundations? Is it better if I have a security background? So staff, I'm going to direct this at you. Is that an accurate statement? We'll teach you what you need to know. If we saw enough in you that we're sending you to OPC to become an OPP officer, can we trust that your team will teach us what we need?
Absolutely, absolutely, and that is what that is what this is. It is referred to as the basic constable training, so it is the very basic entry into policing. So when you come here, there are people that have had been subjected to no policing in their history or prior education, and will come in here and can be very successful. What we do ask is that you be coachable and that you come in with an open mind and be willing to learn. And if you are in that state, you will be successful with the information we're going to deliver.
Absolutely. I remember in my class, there's some people that came from police families. They were second, third generation OPP officers. So, you know, they were raised in that culture. Also, a lot of ex-military people that had a lot of structure to their training, used to that. I had none. I don't know about you, Leanne. Did you have any type of any police relatable training or something comparable?
no, nothing at all. No, it's all brand new.
So it's encouraging to know, though, that it doesn't matter whether you come with some type of policing experience or structured, or whether you don't. The program is designed to build you together, and you will learn what you need to learn.
100%.
That is great. Now, one of the things that we refer to a lot, and I like to say OPC is all about this, is teamwork, team aspect. I'll start with you, Leanne. When you mentioned a bit about being in your pod and your classmates, did you feel like you were part of a team? Do you feel like you met teammates? Is there any friends you've made that you think you'll stay friends with? Talk to me about team aspect, what it was like for you.
Yeah. I mean, that's another reason why I wanted to join the OPP. It's so big, and I wanted to be part of a family like I always have through soccer. Especially my pod mates and my classmates, we definitely all worked together as a team. We all made sure everyone knew where each other was. Everyone knew where they knew that they had to be, what equipment they needed, which dress attire they have to have, and everything they needed for each class as well. So you do really get that sense of team. Like there's no one that really gets left out, or you don't feel like left out at all. It just feels very support, like you feel like you've got support all the time. So, and I've met so many great people that are going to be friends for life now, just from my class. Yeah.
And staff, I'm going to throw back to you now. I believe it was like that, and I'm sure it's still like that. That's part of your training module or goal is the whole team idea, team spirit, team effort.
Yeah, absolutely, right. And that's where we usually like to people to understand that even though it's called the Ontario Police College, it's not necessarily a college as what most people would think of as a traditional college or university, right? It's a training center. And part of our purpose in this center is to ensure that we work as a team, because once you leave here, the one aspect that makes policing successful is teamwork. So if we are able to instill those skills with them here, it allows them to be more successful when they actually leave here and move on to their detachment.
And I can echo those thoughts because the friends that I made at OPC 29 years ago, there's a group of people that I met there in our pod and the pod next to ours. Just a fluke. None of us knew each other. To this day, we are still great friends. And I'm going to give a shout out to anybody from class 244. That was my class. And class 244 has had an annual reunion every year since 1995. We're about to have our 29th reunion next month in September. We've never missed one. Even during COVID, we did a short virtual one. And that's because of that team aspect. I can tell you that some of the people that I met that are in that group of friends have helped me along the way. One of my buddies, detachment commander, Prince Edward County now, Johnny Hatch, taught me how to shine boots. This guy was from RMC, and boy, he taught me how to do that and how to iron a shirt. Another good friend, who's now Superintendent Ward running the academy, was very fitness oriented, but man, this guy had the social aspect about showing people, hey, let's take a breath now, and that whole team aspect about helping each other. One of the questions that's just come up: is there any opportunities outside of class time at OPC for extra building or exercise training, team building exercises? I'll go to you, Leanne, first.
Yeah, I mean, I was a team lead in my class, so we often organised team building activities after class because you typically finish class at 4:30 in the afternoon. So generally, things like pod walks where you walk together with your pod, or you go out and do something. Maybe there's a bowling alley nearby. There's opportunities to do things after classes. Yes.
And it was the same when I was there. There was even intramural sports. We had some floor hockey. There was
Yep.
baseball games. If there was tons of opportunity to be involved with people. Staff, do you want to comment on that? The team building outside of hours.
Yeah, so outside of hours, there are those intramurals still that go on and that as well too, and it's kind of the classes end up competing against each other as well too. So it gives everyone a sense of that challenge purpose, where teams kind of then will be competing against each other. So but outside that, Leanne's pretty much covered most of that off. Where yeah, as your team, as your group, there's usually that camaraderie within your pod or your class where you start generating to do stuff as well too. For the fitness portion of it, it's a team building and exercise training. Here on site, there's a gymnasium. There will usually someone's playing basketball, badminton, something at night. There's a Olympic size swimming pool here, as well as a full weight room, cardio deck. And then there's all sorts of like areas that you can go running outside as well too. So there's lots of opportunity to be active and fit here.
I remember when we were there. That's right. There's no shortage of anything to do, and the facility is really impressive. There's so much out there. Now, I always thought, imagine you're in class during the day. You're learning some law. You're learning how to shoot. You're learning how to fight in defensive tactics, how to protect yourself. And then there's the sports side. So it was great. Where else can you go to have a day? It was like the best summer camp I've ever been at. But there is some studying, and that brings up one of the questions that's come up. What happens if you struggle in a certain subject or class? Staff, I'll throw that at you.
Yeah, so this can very well happen. Like I said, some people will come here with no background in policing whatsoever. When they come there, we try and identify people who may struggle with some of the academics very early, and we partner them up with someone who is doing well in academics. All of our academic instructors as well too are hold what we refer to as workshops or extra study sessions in the evening where they can go to and get extra help and get that support as well too. This program is set up for success, and if they take those steps to ensure that they are covering off and learning the material, they will see success in the end. On the
So
same
probably,
side, sorry, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, I was
Go
just going
ahead.
to say on the same side, on the practical side, if someone's struggling in some practical skills, say police vehicle operations, firearms, anything along those lines as well too, there's extra help for them as well. So there will be workshops held where they'll get extra time on the range or extra time in a police vehicle so that they can practice some of the skills that they need to top up on. And that's what it is. For us, for the OPP, we will sometimes hold additional training sessions over top of what is held by OPC if we feel that there is some area that our recruits are requiring a little bit of extra help in as well.
So if I'm hearing you right, not only do we look after each other as a team, fellow recruits, you might assign a mentor, someone who's strong in an area to help another recruit, right? The whole team building again. There's the workshops, plus the instructors are there to also give that extra support. That's a lot of layers of help and support along the way, which is great to hear. That's encouraging for people to know, hey, what if I do struggle with something? It's okay. You're not left afloat on your own. Leanne, did you want to comment on that? Did you ever help somebody out or participate in any of these workshops?
Yeah, so obviously my background's fitness and played sports all my life. So anyone that was struggling with their fitness or their beep tests, I would help them get ready to prepare for the prep test and the beep test. So I would assist in that. I also should mention as well that, I'm dyslexic, so I got extra time in exams. So I want everyone to know that you do get additional time for anyone that has a learning disability or maybe English isn't your first language. They also give you extra time and a dictionary if you need. So there's support across the board. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That's something personal, but I commend you for sharing that. What if you're dyslexic? You get extra time. We get that question more often than none, where someone says, "What if I have some type of learning disability?" And I always say, we do have help, but it's great to hear from somebody who has a condition, dyslexia, and that you actually experienced it. That they will work with you to be able to get through that, whether that means extra time, extra tutoring. So that is amazing to hear. A question that came in for you, Leanne, says, question for PC Forker. What made you decide to go into policing?
So yeah, policing, it's always kind of been at the back of my mind since I was young. I did it initially, because I only moved to Canada 6 years ago. I did initially apply in Scotland when I was 21, but I failed in maths at that point. And then I realized, I probably want to get a little bit of life experience anyway. And then that's when I started running my business and I was playing soccer anyway. And then I was coming to retiring from semi-pro, and COVID, as you're aware, ruined a lot of fitness industry stuff. And I decided now that, I've got a mortgage, I've got family, I've got kids as well. I need something. I think it's time that I apply. And OPP has kind of always been in the back of my head as well since I arrived in Canada. Just such a big organization. It's something there's so many opportunities, and I love opportunities to grow. So I knew this was the best step for me. So.
That is a great answer. And I want to remind everyone, opp.ca is where you will find our application, a very detailed explanation on how to apply, frequently asked questions. You can find videos and all kinds of links to different sites with some training aids, whether it's about fitness, studying. opp.ca is the place to go. And make sure you follow us on our social media platforms. We're always talking about different events coming up. Here's an interesting question that came in. And I'm going to ask both of you. I'll start with you, Staff. Is there something that positively surprised you at OPC that you didn't anticipate? So I'd like to get the instructor kind of view on that. Something that surprised you positive, and you're like, oh, I didn't expect that.
No, that's a really good question. I think that I can't immediately come up with an answer on that one. Something that surprised me in regards to like the new recruits coming in right now. It's a different generation of people that are coming through, right? And I find that we are doing our best because now our recruits are of so many different generations when we hire them that we're trying to support them the best we can. And we find that with their help, I get to learn so many different people's lives and their history and where they come from in that as well too. So the number of, even though I am the supervising officer here, the number of friendships that you develop and the number of people that touch you and give you that sense of support that you've provided them. Like I talk about with Leanne Forker here, she was an outstanding recruit, and we have stayed in communication. And between us two, we've stayed in communication after here. So to think that when they come through here as a new recruit, it creates that friendship that you may end up carrying on forever and beyond them moving on to their career.
And that's a pleasant surprise. I can imagine as an instructor, the liaison, the one in charge, that wow, these aren't just new recruits, but you do develop friendships. Leanne, anything that pleasantly surprised you about OPC?
Yeah, I was just surprised by the majority of it, really, like the structure, how it was set up. Surprised that I was with different police services as well. I don't know why I didn't think about it beforehand, but I was just surprised that when I went into the pod that it wasn't just OPP, and I was like, oh, so that was quite cool because you're learning from different people, and just really loved how surprised I was that how many of the people you're around is on the same boat as you. They're all wanting the same thing. They all want to achieve the same goal, and they all want to support each other. So it was really surprising how we really came together as a team, and it made it so enjoyable throughout the 3 months. So.
I'm glad to hear that it's still that way because, like I said, that was my experience. Still good friends with a bunch of people, and I'm glad that OPC hasn't lost that.
Yeah.
Somebody was asking a question about the day-to-day dress code. Now, I'm guessing it's probably similar to what it used to be. You're in uniform all day. You're in fitness gear for fitness. You're probably in fitness gear for defensive tactics and stuff like that. But the dress of the day, if you're not doing fitness, is a police uniform.
Correct. Yes.
Correct. Yeah, and which is right because that's what you're going to be wearing when you come off the job or when you get on the job when you leave OPC. Somebody asked a question about what's it like going to OPC and having a young family and how do you manage. I want to just say that we did an AMA. I'm going to say maybe a couple months ago that talked a lot about that, where we had two moms that are officers that speak about that. I'd encourage you to go to opp.ca, find that AMA. You'll hear a lot of great supporting stories about what it was like to be away from their kids, till the weekend. Because you're at OPC Monday to Friday. You can go home on weekends. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you go home in the evening if you live close enough? Or are you expected to be there at night?
You're not expected to be here at night, like if you want to leave, but there's a lot of evenings work that goes on here as well too. So they will be doing night exercises. There is meetings. There is possibly fitness testing. If you have any workshops where you're trying to get caught up on something, that could be a possibility. They could keep you here later. And then also some mornings will start as early as 7 a.m. as well too. So there are some people who are local who end up going home sometimes a couple nights out of the week, but they find that those ones that have done that more than a couple, it starts to hinder their ability to be part of OPC and learn here as well too.
One thing I want to point out, when I went to OPC, I lived far. I was home was Timmins then. So I stayed at OPC even on the weekends. And I want to point out to everybody that the minute you show up at the OPP Academy, you're paid. You're on the payroll. You're lodged and you're fed for the whole time. So even on weekends when everybody was going home and I was staying at OPC, I was fed and I was lodged. And I tell everyone the best way to prepare is go there with the mindset that you're going to be there Monday to Friday. If there are, even with our own academy, if there's going to be an evening exercise or a weekend exercise, they let you know that ahead of time so that you can make arrangements with your family, especially if people have children in daycare. We're not new at this and we do work with you. Some of the questions that are coming up are things that I want to ask kind of near the end. But I'll ask this one to you, Steph. Good afternoon. What distances should you be comfortable running for OPC?
Okay, so distances here at OPC, pretty much the longest distance you will run here in class would probably be the mile and a half, which is 2.4 kilometers. But to get good at the 2.4 kilometers, which I know Leanne could support as well too, you should be running probably around 5. PPA will probably have you doing possibly, and I don't know if Leanne can speak to this too, but closer to 10 kilometers. But it's not at a marathon pace by any means. So, but yeah, it's you should measure yourself around that 2.4 kilometer, that mile and a half is sort of that area where you would be evaluated here at OPC.
Okay, now Leanne, I'll throw you the ball. Tell me a bit about the running academy versus OPC, like the staff mentioned.
Yeah, I'd say the academy is a little bit harder than the OPC. Yeah, you're probably going to run between 6 to 10K, maybe a couple of times in the whole time that you're there. But it's not like a constant run. So there's stoppages where you're going to do some body weight exercises or team building exercises. So it's not just a constant run. So it kind of breaks it up so that those that maybe don't feel like they could run that far might give them that confidence that, there's a break coming up soon. There's going to be some body weight stuff. So
I'm glad you mentioned that because I remember that too. The longer runs were team building opportunities.
yeah.
You run as a team, you build each other as a team, you learn to be a leader in that group, you learn to support one another, you learn about yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses. It was actually a really neat component. So I think that's great advice. You're going to run, you're going to be tested and measured at OPC on at least 2.4 kilometers. At the OPP Academy, you could be running 5 to 10 kilometers. So if you're not doing any long distance running, you're thinking of applying, now's a good time to start incorporating some longer runs. As the weather is starting to get cooler, it's a little bit easier to go out there. We would encourage you to do that. There's a lot of running and fitness tips at opp.ca. There's a fitness guide that you can look at that has all kinds of suggestions. And again, Google it. There's all kinds of ways to find information. Somebody mentioned their son's hoping to apply. They have a business degree. One of the things we mentioned earlier, it doesn't matter what your education is in. OPC and the OPP Academy will teach you everything you need to know. All we need to know, like the staff said, are you trainable? Are you coachable? And can you have an open mind to be ready to be trained and to learn a new career? A lot of questions about the fitness since we brought that up. One of the things is any advice for passing the beep test. The shuttle run is one of those tests that there's a million and one ways to train for. Some people tell you high intensity intervals are the best. Some will say long distance. I say go try, see where you're at, and then try different running methods. But I don't think there's one key thing that you can do. Leanne, you're very much into fitness. Was there a secret for you for the shuttle run, the beep test?
Yeah. Well, I know the beep test straight away off the bat is a mental thing. Like you have to mentally believe that you can do it. It's very challenging, and if you're someone who's just doing long distance running, this is what you'll find the hardest, because when you're doing long distance running, your heart plateaus, so it doesn't really reach its max. So I would do a combination of everything. So not just long distance, maybe doing interval training, hill sprints, high intensity interval training as well with like body weight exercises. So doing a bit of everything that gets you to that point where you feel uncomfortable. You should feel uncomfortable, because that's what the beep test feels like.
Yes, it's not a fun run. So if you're thinking the shuttle run is fun, I've been doing it for 30 years, and it's not fun. One of the things that I have noticed, especially being in recruitment now when we offer these shuttle runs, is if you're running with somebody that's faster than you, you can kind of almost draft their energy. Like Leanne said, a lot of this is mental. And when you're hitting a wall, run with somebody that's faster than you. Let their energy pull you, and you'll be surprised how you can push through. Without going too much on that topic, there's tons of information online about that. Question I'm going to direct to you, staff. Is there any daily inspections similar to BMQ in the military? I can't wait to hear this answer.
Yeah, so every morning, so probably about once a week, each class is there will be an hour of drill in the morning. And that's a lot of it is to teach you part of the inspection, but also to prepare you for the March Past graduation here at OPC. Outside that, at the start of every day, before your first period, you are inspected in uniform. You're inspected to ensure that you're, clean shaven or the hair is high and tight, uniform's clean, ironed, boots are clean, boots are polished, that your notebook is up to date, and that you have all your use of force or the equipment with you that you're required to attend with. So that's kind of part of the inspection. It is not a tough inspection. Again, if you're coachable and you do what you're asked to do and that we require you to do, it's not a difficult inspection. I'm sure Leanne can speak to that as well too.
Hey, I want to hear Leanne's comments on inspections.
Yeah, I mean, I loved them. I don't think everybody did, but it just shows like that's the nights that bring you and your pods together because you're shining your boots together. And some people are way better at it than others. So I had a couple of pod mates that were really good at it and helped me a lot. And we all helped each other with ironing our shirts and stuff. You've got to make sure your room's ready and your bed's made, and you get measurements and stuff. You get all the support, and honestly, you don't have to worry about it because everybody knows that it's coming, and everybody makes sure everyone's sorted and there's no one lacking anywhere. So you wouldn't ever feel like, have I got everything? Because everybody knows what you should have, and we make sure everybody's supporting each other. So they're fun though. Yeah.
I remember one of my first inspections. I mentioned John Hatch, detachment commander, Prince Edward County, had come out of RMC, and I'm Hicks. I wasn't that far. Now, Johnny Hatch's boots were like mirrors, typical military guy, razor crisp pleats down his sleeves. And then you had Vinny with boots out of the box, shirt out of the dryer with a good fluff. So let's just say that evening, it was highly encouraged that I talked to Johnny Hatch to get some instructions on how to better prepare. I'm going to tackle a few questions real quickly. How many questions on the psychological test? I don't know. It's a few hundred true or false questions. If you can run further than 7 when you're doing your shuttle video, keep going. Go as far as you can. If any job you've had, if you have a T4, you've paid taxes, make sure you include them on your application. Every place that is. Now somebody's asking, what's a drill? Well, a drill is a tool that you use to make holes. But the drill that the staff is talking about, go ahead, staff.
Yeah, so it's basically marching and standing at attention. So it's what you would see in parade, military type parade where they march and they're standing at attention and they are taught certain commands that the sergeant major will call out, and then they respond to it. And it prepares them for the march past, which they march into the drill hall, to the pipes and drums, and then they have their march past ceremony, and then they march out as well too. So it's kind of just the preparation for that event as well too.
Leanne, did you enjoy the drill?
Oh yeah, and you have to make sure that you have crisp shirts and clean boots for those as well. But yeah, they're really good fun, and you know what? It looks really good when everybody's doing everything at the right time, and it makes it look so professional. So when the ceremony does come when you graduate OPC and PPA, you feel confident enough to be able to walk up and get your badge. Yeah, so yeah, no, I enjoyed them. So
I can tell you that if you've never seen an OPP graduation, Google some stuff, go look at videos. It is impressive to watch. When everyone is in step, it's military precision. It comes from the military to do drill, and it's something to watch. There was a drill team when I was at OPC. Some of the really good marchers would volunteer, and they did a drill presentation. Is that something that still happens? Because it was quite something to watch.
yeah, it's definitely something that still happens. All the military people or have experience in drill usually come out and help everybody, and anyone that's struggling with it, they usually get one-on-one help with that as well. So yeah.
So somebody's asking about one-on-one mentoring. We don't have one-on-one. You can't just call and say, hey, I need a mentor. We have different programs that get offered throughout the year, like REACH program, the cadet program. There's these sessions that we do. I'd encourage you to follow us on social media. You'll find information on that. And somebody else who's asking from another country, maybe they're from Scotland too, they didn't indicate, but if you're a police officer from another country, does it give you an edge? I would say, I think it would give you, I wouldn't call it an edge. I'd say you'd probably be way better prepared when you come to the academy and the police college, coming from a policing background, understanding the structure. And so that's about all I can say about that. And the last, another question: how do you fill a fitness log? It's a fill in the blank exercise, so uh, just fill in the blanks. It's pretty straightforward. Max got an interview coming up. I want to wish you luck coming up on that. People asking about pay increase and stuff like that. That's stuff that you'll find at opp.ca. I want to remind everybody to visit there. And is there more training after you get on the road, or are you kind of on your own? Very good question. I can answer that to say that yes, the training continues. First year with your coach officer, which is a mentor that's going to help you learn the ropes. We do yearly training that we call block training, where we go over legislation, changes in legislation, firearm requalification, defensive tactics. So the training never stops as a police officer. And someone like the staff, all the different steps and departments you've been at, I'm sure that the training has never stopped even now with 25 years on the job.
No, not at all. The training continues on, and we always want to make sure we are doing the best and that we are at the best. So that's why we always extend and continue our training throughout our career.
Now, I'm going to ask, I'll start with Leanne. How did you prepare for OPC? Because people often ask, like, what do I do to get ready? And is it just fitness? Is it just this? If you were saying, hey, this is what I did, is there anything you would change? How did you prepare? And what would you say about preparing to go to OPC?
I prepared by, I have a lot of friends in the police, so I was asking name questions, what to expect. I was also asked, just basically doing what they advise in the first 10 days as well. When you go to PPA, you go for there for the first 10 days, and they give you homework and stuff to set you up for going to OPC, just so you know what to expect. So yeah, just really making sure that you're reaching out. Even I found that people that I was going to OPC with the OPP, they had mums or dads or brothers and sisters that are in the police already and were able to tell us too there and then at the academy. So yeah, I would definitely advise trying to, if you can, if you've got friends or someone who knows someone in the police that can help you, I definitely think that's your best bet. Or even just reaching out or going to one of these information sessions that you hold at least once a month. They have a good insight to tell you too. So I went to a few of those as well, which I really enjoyed. And it gives you a very good insight and it prepares you. And then that way you can tell your family what to expect. Because I'm a mother of, the twins were 10 months old when I applied. So they started walking when I was at OPC. So I prepared myself to know that, if you've got a young family, you need to be aware that, the 3 months is going to go past very quickly and just to try and enjoy it. And they can come down and visit you at OPC as well, and you get the weekends off as well. So just making sure that those 3 months are going to go really fast. So,
and great advice. When somebody's asking, is there a big not to do? And I would say, don't assume anything. Make sure don't listen to what everybody out there says. Talk to people wearing a uniform. Great advice, Leanne. Come to an information session. We do information sessions around the province. I do one every month here at General Headquarters. They're advertised on our website and on our social media platforms. Sign up for one of those. This is where you get to meet a recruiter. They'll tell you the A to Z about the recruiting process. You get to ask some questions. So my big not to do that, I would say, don't assume anything. Now, staff, I want to throw that question at you too. I asked Leanne about how she prepared. Now, if you could give a couple of pieces of advice, someone who's preparing to come, what would you say to them?
As I've already said too, be coachable, be open-minded. Come in here. Yeah, don't listen to what necessarily other people have told you, because we found that through where partway through someone may be struggling and they end up finding that they took some other information that they got from someone else and thought that they were okay just doing this or just doing this. We will tell you the way for success, and you follow what the guide that the instructors here and I give you for success, and you will be successful in the end. The other one is the fitness as well too. We want you, when you show up here, we've in the past had recruits come up and say, oh, when I get to OPC, I'm going to get in shape. And it's like, no, you should come here in shape. So you should be ready to perform at the fitness level that is required, which is the level 7 on the beep test when you show up here. And if you do, you will have lots of time to maintain but you may not necessarily have time to get in shape when you show up here as well too. So because there is a lot of other things than just fitness here at the Ontario Police College.
I completely echo those words. I've heard people say I'll be in shape by the time they call me. Right now, the hiring process from the moment you hit submit to the moment we call you is 3 to 5 months. It's very quick. So be in shape. Don't submit your application unless you know you can reach level 7 minimum on a shuttle run, right? Don't apply unless you know you're ready. Somebody's asking about leadership. What if you just had labor jobs? That doesn't matter. Leadership comes in many different ways. Leadership could be that you're, a leader at work. You took the lead on a program. At OPC, they assign different leaders during the week. If I remember correctly, there's class leaders, there's team leaders. Could you say a bit about that, Leanne?
Yeah, I think they usually like to give leadership to those who maybe are good at leadership roles or need some experience in leadership roles. So you do. I don't think because you've been a labourer that you can't class yourself as a leadership. Just like you said, have you led a project? Have you led a group in somewhat? I mean, I even did soccer coaching, so I coach soccer, so there's a leadership skill there. It definitely comes in all different shapes and forms, and you do get the opportunity to grow that at OPC as well. So.
And I would say, and staff, you can echo on this, they will teach you and give you opportunities to develop your inner leader. You guys do look for how to bring the leaders out of every recruit.
Absolutely. There is actual, some of the courses here are actually called leadership courses. So they do give them leadership courses on becoming a better leader, becoming a better version of yourself in those type situations. And Leanne was an excellent leader when she was here, and she already came in with those type skills. So some people will come in, and a lot of times other recruits will start to see who those leaders are and start mimicking them. And you surround yourself with other leaders, you become a leader yourself.
And as an OPP officer, you will be a leader everywhere you show up. And that's part of our training. And like you just heard the staff say, even there's parts of the course designed to that. How to bring out your leader, how to bring out those skills that are in you, how to showcase them. Just as I'm moving along here, we're going to wrap up shortly. Got to give a French shout out. Bonjour à Wadji qui nous rejoint de l'ambassade du Canada en Tunisie. Bonjour, merci d'être avec nous. As I just said something French, I have to talk about my little flag pin. It might be hard to see, but French OPP officers now wear a Franco-Ontario flag pin on their vest so that we can be identified as Francophone officers. Although Ontario is not bilingual, the OPP is a bilingual organization. So just putting that out there, if there's anybody that's watching that's French, that's a great little asset to have because it's one of the languages that's part of our organization. I'm going to ask you each, this is similar to a question we had earlier, but Leanne, what was your favorite thing about OPC? And don't say the Jello.
No, honestly, I had a kind of like, I don't even know what to call it, like a light bulb moment. I was in PVO, which is Police Vehicle Operations, and on this day we were racing around the track with our lights on, and in the background the gun range was right there. You can hear people shooting, and I was just like, I get paid to do this? And it was that moment I'm like, it's just so fun. And then defensive tactics, I just can't believe I was getting paid to be there. I was just having the best time. So yeah.
That it's funny you said that because that's how I describe it. When I was at OPC, I thought, oh my goodness, I'm getting paid to learn how to drive, how to shoot. And I had planned to talk about the driving portion because that is one of the funnest things I've had. Now, just to give everybody a little visual, imagine a retired police car with a cooking wok welded to the hood with a tennis ball in it, and you will do things that you never thought were possible without losing that tennis ball.
Yeah.
Staff, I want to ask you the same thing. What's coming from the instructor side? What's your favorite thing about OPC?
Well, just to touch on what you just said, that walk is still used with the tennis ball as well too. So it's an excellent technique that they use. So from a training side, what is the best part of this is it's almost opposite to what Leanne spoke of, is we get to deliver that experience for those recruits. It was quite rewarding when you hear the recruits and they come through and they talk about how great this is, and that they are getting paid to do this, and we are the ones that are helping deliver that material and ensuring that they have that experience while they're here as well too. So it's even though it's kind of selfish, it's very rewarding for myself to be in that position when you can do that for the recruits.
Great things. I want to give a little shout out to Richie Efflux, who's been commenting. He says, got hired at 45 years old, landed in Canada 5 years ago. Ends with everything is possible if you put the efforts. Good luck, guys. So there's a lot of people that are asking, I wasn't successful because of this, because of that. I would encourage you to go to our website, opp.ca, go through the self-assessment again, and try to see where you can improve. And one thing I will tell you, we always encourage people to reapply. Make sure that when you reapply, that you've improved yourself, that you're not applying with the same stuff that didn't cut the mustard before. We want to see how you've improved yourself during that year. What did you do to better showcase yourself, whether it's to improve fitness or education. Before we wrap up, I want to remind everybody, everything, all the resources you need, opp.ca. Make sure you go there and check out the upcoming events. You'll see when the next AMA is coming up. You'll see when different events are coming up, info sessions in your area. And the last question I want to ask of each of you, one piece of advice. And I know we've kind of we've talked about a lot of advice. One piece of advice. Leanne, I'll go with you first. You have one piece of advice to give to somebody who wants to go to OPC. They're going to be applying.
Just a little touch on what Staff Sergeant Dupe said. Just being open-minded, coachable. You are going to be put in uncomfortable situations, which is part of the job, and just to enjoy it and just take it and then just go with it, and just really remember that it's only 3 months and it honestly went by so quick. So just enjoy every part of it, and just do your best.
Good advice. Staff, do you want to give us one more little nugget? One piece.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of echo off of Leanne there as well too, because that is the most important, and she stole it from me. But that is the most important, is being coachable, coming here with an open mind. Our success, we see the recruits that come in here open to learn and open to what we are teaching, and they are the ones that are successful and making success easier for them as well too. So I just want to echo what she said. That is perfect. And for anyone that is online as well too, I look forward to seeing you here someday at OPC, because this is the start of a great journey and a great career.
There you have it, folks, right from the horse's mouth, as they say, from a brand new recruit that's just experienced it, and from the person leading the OPP recruits at OPC. The adventure is waiting for you. Now is the time to apply. We are hiring. There's never been a better time to apply. I encourage you to go to opp.ca, follow us on social media. We look forward to hearing from you. The instructors are waiting for you. Your uniform is here waiting for you downstairs. The tailors are just waiting to fit it to you. So until we meet again, I want to thank everyone that's joined us online. I want to thank you, Staff Sergeant Dupe. Thank you, Constable Forker, for taking the time out of your day to share this with people. I know it's going to resonate. We're probably going to hear a lot about this session that we had through our emails. A lot of questions will have been generated. Thank you for taking the time. It's what makes us successful here. For all those watching, stay fit,